Yeah, man. That's it. Welcome to Driftwood Guitars. My name is Chris. Behind the camera is Matt, as always. We're back at it with a 3,000-year-old guitar, and as you remember in the last episode, we finally got this top glued down to the sides, and it is on the home stretch of getting ready to come out of the mold. But what we need to do next is to get the back ready to glue on, which is very exciting. So I wanted to show you guys this before we actually get to talking about it. You can hear how nicely, because you haven't seen it come out of the Go Bar deck. Last we spoke, it was going into the Go Bar deck, but it has a very, hang on, I gotta get the node right on it. It's got a very nice sound to it. And before we glue the back on, I am gonna take some time and show you how I go about doing the very final, real minute voicing of the top of the guitar. So I just wanted to show you how that sounds. It sounds pretty cool. And it's definitely hitting all the notes that I want it to. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. And we're gonna move on to this. Me and Matt were having a little bit of trouble figuring out what to call this. I'm gonna call this African Ebony. But I want you guys to help me out with that because it's always confused me a little bit. I know we have Gaboon Ebony, we have African Ebony. There's Pale Moon Ebony. I know that's not what this is, but I'm pretty sure that we have African Ebony here.
What was it? Our one friends in the other guitar channel. They said that like the best way to know is just to say it wrong. This is really pretty piece of spruce right here.
Exactly. The internet just like. Tell us what this is, but no, it is. I'm mostly sure that this is just African Ebony, but it's gonna be really great. I went ahead and sanded it because it made it some slight appearances in previous videos, but when I bought this from the dealer, it actually had shellac all over it. So now that I've sanded that shellac off, you can see how just really nice it is. Super excited about it. It's got a pretty good. If I can find the note. Oh, get that close. Listen to this. Very nice tone to it. So excited about that. But what we need to do is steps very similar to what we did on the top. So I'm actually going to get my joiner plane, and we're gonna level this out and then put it inside the plate joining jig and glue them together. Then we're gonna backstrap it and we're gonna run it on a CNC machine and get it prepped so that we can start bracing it. So I'm gonna put this thing in the clamp and we are going to get this nice and leveled. All right, we got it inside the vise. I know that there are better ways to do this. This is just how I do it these days. I don't have all the cool plate joining jigs that a lot of people do, but you know, whatever. You live your life the way you want.
1/4 mile at a time.
Exactly. God. I got the old number 7 Stanley plane here, and we are just gonna run this thing across here. I know that I seem like less enthusiastic about this, but you've already seen us do this once. It's just the same thing, but with ebony this time.
Another day in the office.
That's right. Yeah. Let me get the straight edge here. That just will not do. So we're just checking for gaps here. We want to get this perfectly flat so that when we take these plates and join them together, there's no gaps in it whatsoever. There is, the nice thing about backs versus top is that we're actually going to put what's called a back strap on there. So unlike the top, which is literally totally relying on just that butt joint for the top plates to be there other than the X brace, the back has got braces as well as a nice strip of wood down the middle of it. It just gives you a nice insurance policy. It's not to say that like you should do a sloppier joint, it's just that you can get away with it. Not that I want to, but it's just you have a little bit more insurance that your back's not going to split on you. Right. So right now we have a little bit of a low spot in the middle, so I'm just going to work that out. Let's see what we got. What the heck? switch out here. Oh, so much better. My first day. Dude, chasing my tail here.
You having some performance issues?
Yes, swear to God, it never happens. Yeah, I think that we're close. I'm gonna pull these out of the vise and just check and see what kind of joint we're getting on here. Oh yeah, that's terrible. That's not even close. What we're gonna do, because I'm for some reason not getting the sort of gap that I want, and then so far I've only shown you this method of doing the plate joining. I'm gonna move over to my other workbench and I'll show you another way that I can do it that gives me an opportunity to get it a little bit more accurate. So we'll run over there. I'll set that up and explain that way as well. Okay, so what we are going to do is use this plate joining jig that is by Veritas. You can go to leevalley.com and get one of these. We'll do a link to it in the description, but they're super cool because it runs nice and flat. It's got like a glide tape on the bottom. This is perfectly 90 degrees, and you can just put adhesive backed sandpaper on it. And the way that you do this is I just lay down a piece of wood. I'm gonna stack these very carefully like that. We're just gonna expose about 1/4 inch of the wood right there, and then I just stack another piece of wood on top. Just got some curly quilted maple there. It doesn't work unless you use quilted maple though.
So yeah, the finer quality of shim that you use, the better your plate joint will be.
Weird flex.
Yeah.
But cool. And then I just use these little cam clamps to hold it in place. And the way that the reason why this works a little bit better is you just have a little bit more control over it. But I've got like a super coarse sandpaper on here right this second, and I can just come in here and run this back and forth and slowly knock it down. And you take off such little bits of it that it's a little bit easier, a little bit more control. And it's nice because you can actually get away with this if you don't have a full-size hand plane. So like now that I'm doing this, I'm thinking like this is a good option for those of you that are just getting started in guitar building. Because I think this is like $60. It's been years since I bought it, so I could be completely wrong there. It's not nearly as expensive as a nice hand plane is though. So this is a cool, cheaper option that's going to get you a really good result. And you'll see, I mean, I come back to this all the time when I have trouble getting a good joint on a guitar. So, which Bob Marley was really good at getting joints on guitars. One love. The only thing that you have to be careful of is that you're just not like making it round on there, but just nice even pressure on it, and it works really well. So you saw how quick that was, right? Nice and easy. I'm just gonna check it with my straight edge. So, oh my god, yeah, it's like night and day better. I'm ready. I'm ready to check it already. Like that was.
This is just for reference. Chris showed me the much harder technique of doing this first.
Yeah,
and he was like, yeah, and I was struggling one day. He's like, well, there's another way of doing it that's a lot easier. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? I worked on joining 2 plates for it was probably the better part of like 3 hours. Wax on, wax off.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. All right, so get in on that, Matt. Look at this. This just came out. I mean, like a couple of passes of that, and it's perfect already.
Oh, nice. That's
so, cool. What we'll do is we will put these in the plate joining jig real fast and join them up. So, I mean, yeah, I think you saw how quickly that was. Now, I got really lucky with how fast that went. It doesn't always go that quickly, but this thing is the move. They make a smaller version of it as well.
Well, listen, I'm going to make a montage out of it anyway. Yeah. I'm going to cut it out. But for the record, yeah, it was really fast.
Yeah, so we'll run over to the main bench again and join these up. All right. Plate joining jig time. Same thing we saw in the last episode. I know that these things are not the cheapest in the world. They're not crazy expensive. I think they're like $160 for this jig. You can make them yourself for way less. But for the money, time is money, and it's worth it to me to just buy one. Lots of different ways to join your tops and backs, but this is my preferred way. So what we'll do is we will get it set up in here, put some glue on it, and strap it down. Obviously, and I haven't really mentioned it to this point, but I think it's pretty obvious that before you join your plates is to make sure that you're joining the two pieces that are book matched perfectly with one another. Don't just go in it blind, because you can end up with a joint that's like this, and then that's no good.
Yeah. Also, terrible book matching.
Terrible book matching.
Yeah, that book looks terrible.
She's a guy, so. It's a little LMI instrument glue. Nothing crazy. Ooh. Ooh.
Can you make it all the way?
Boom!
What a nice bead.
And that's it. That's all I'm going to put on there. We'll stick this in. Put the plate on top. And then just wrap it with rope. I love that there's certain parts of like the guitar building process that are still just like super old school like this. It's cool. Like you're using rope. Like, yeah. Come on.
Lines, but yes.
Yes, lines. I'm sorry. Lines. What is it, Matt? Was it lines serve a specific purpose? What was it?
Yeah. It's rope until it has like a purpose or a job to do, and then it's a line, technically. Yeah. the philosophy of nylon.
Starting a YouTube channel, I've learned more than I've actually taught, I think, just because everybody's got their little nuggets. Mm-hmm. I like step on landmines all the time, don't even realize it.
Yep.
And then we just push these in. I mean, it's already got good squeeze out, but now we just push our wedges in and boom, selector. And then we just grab the persuader.
Yeah.
There it is.
The persuader.
That's it.
Nailed it.
So we're gonna let this dry for about an hour, and we will then take it, run it through the drum sander, and do the CNC machine cutout on it and the back strap. But that's pretty self-explanatory. Oh, hello! Didn't see you there. All right, this is done. Matt and I had lunch. Feeling good. Feeling good. This is dry, so we're gonna pull it out, and then we are gonna take it over to the drum sander and just get it nice and level. Well, I guess we're gonna take it to its final thickness. Actually, we don't necessarily voice the back. I do put a little bit of thought into it. I guess this is an opportunity for me to mention the fact that I build my guitars two different ways on the backs. I think that the back is incredibly neglected when it comes to conversations about how it contributes to the tone of the guitar. I read Irvin Samoji's books a couple years ago, and he talks about that as well. And so if I have a client who's getting a guitar that's going to be used in the studio, I build an active back guitar. And by that I mean like when you're holding, because in the studio you're usually sitting down, and so the back of the guitar is not touching your belly. And so I can actually make the guitar that much more responsive by getting the back to be acoustically resonant. The flip side to that is a guitar that's going to be used with a strap most of the time, and then it's resting against your belly, and you're really killing the tone of the back altogether by doing that. And this is a guitar that's that way. Will Thompson, who's getting this guitar, is a full-time musician. This guitar will be used mostly to gig with, and it will be used in the studio too. So I want the back to contribute some, but for the most part, it's not going to be a big contributing factor to the tone of the guitar, other than the actual just species of the wood. So with that said, I'm not going to spend a bunch of time tapping it and really getting the back to be as resonant as possible. So what I say that because we're going to run to the drum sander. I'm going to go, and we're actually just going to sand it to a target measurement, a thickness that I always shoot for on my backs, instead of doing like we did on the top where I'm actually feeling for a certain amount of resonance. So there is a slight difference there. So now that that is joined up, we will run it through the drum sander and get it nice and level. So we're going to do that now. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to run this through to get to about 2.5 millimeters. And right now, Let's take the old calipers, and we're at 3.8 millimeters right now, so we got a ways to go. We're just gonna chip away at it. I think we have 120 grit sandpaper on here. Feels good. Yeah. And with ebony, it's actually nice, as opposed to like rosewoods and stuff like that. Rosewoods tend to get gummy and tear up a sandpaper, but ebony will run through really nicely without being too much of an issue with gumming. So we could just kind of send it, kind of thought-free. Okay, so that is down. I got it to 2.6 millimeters, slightly thicker than I normally do, only because it is going to be a gig guitar, so we want to make it a little bit beefier than normal. But I wanted to mention something that's a little bit different than with the backs versus the tops, is that specifically when you have figured wood or wood like this that has some color streaking inside of it, especially if you've got wood with sapwood inside of it, is that when you're doing this process of thicknessing, you want to pay attention to how that looks. So I chose this to be the side that's going to be on the outside because it's you can't see the seam really, and the sap or the colorations in this wood are lined up very nicely here in the middle, versus on this side where you can clearly see that line where the seam is. So what you need to do as you're thicknessing is I'll level the side that I know that I want to be the outside first, get it down to just level, and then only take material off on the side that's kind of uneven. Because what'll happen if you sand too much on the side where it's nice and matched up nicely, you'll sand through that portion of color and suddenly it'll start to not match. So that's just something that I wanted to note. But I think it looks pretty dang good. Pretty dang good.
Yeah.
The next thing we need to do is run over to the CNC machine and cut this profile out and put our index holes inside of it so that we can put the back strap on it. So we're getting ready to go do that now. And it's got a little, sounds like ebony. Yep. So we've got the back loaded into the CNC machine, making sure that it's lined up perfectly in the diagonal position. I've already had an X wide the machine on the center position, so we're just going to clamp it in place and then run the program, and we should be at that point ready to backstrap it. So we also added googly eyes to the spindle, so that's a bonus. He's got it. He needs a nose job. All right, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's see here. Look at that, boom. We have our back ready to go. So just like we did on the top, I can cut that out by hand on the bandsaw, but it just saves us some time, gives us some accuracy, but most importantly, it gives us our indexing holes as well. That's the key. So what we'll do now is I'm gonna get the Go Bar deck set up, and we're gonna throw the back strap on it, and we will call this an end of the video, but first we need to do that. So let me pull that out and get that set up. And yeah, man, nice and easy. And a lot of times too, just as a note, not the case here because ebony is pretty readily available, at least in the sense for head plates. But if I'm doing like more rare woods, like a Brazilian rosewood or Amazon rosewoods or Cody's, things like that, I will usually try to save some of the cutoffs that I have left over from the back to create my head plate. I'll book match them and do like a really nice book match head plate so that it matches on the front and the back of the headstock. So that's just something to think about. Don't just chuck the scraps from your back, because you can use it on different places on the guitar as well. And then I also use this is where a lot of my inlay material comes from as well. I'll save this stuff for inlay stuff But yeah, I'll get that Go Bar deck, and we will move on to the next step. All right, old trusty Go Bar deck again. We have lowered the top down just a little bit, and our index pins are going to be super useful here again, as always. So we're going to drop this on, line them up. Then what we do is I've made another template. As I like my templates. This is just a backstrapping template, so that I don't have to do any measuring. That's so that we know where it goes, and then this is a clamping call. But then I used to buy all my back straps like through LMI, and then what I realized is I can just get like D-grade Engelmann spruce like from eBay. You can buy like a box of 10 tops for like $50, and then you glue them up like 3 plates at a time, and then slice them on your bandsaw and run them through your drum sander, and you can make your own back strapping. You can make them out of mahogany. The trick to the strapping material though is that your grain are running perpendicular to the grain of your back. So I've made these. And what we do is they fit nicely in this slot. They're a little long, so then I just take it and go boop, and I break it off, and it's ready to go. And it's already exactly where we need it to go. And I put this clamp right on top of there, and we're just gonna clamp it down. Super nice and easy. I like my templates. But let me go grab some glue, and we'll slap it on there. The trick before you do this is to make sure, obviously, especially on a non-cutaway guitar, making sure that you've got the inside facing up so that you don't accidentally put the back strap on what you wanted to face on the outside. On the cutaway, it's a little easier because you obviously don't want to put that on the wrong side unless suddenly you have a left-handed guitar. But yeah, just a little bit of glue here, and we're going to clamp her on. So those of you who are not builders, it's interesting, we have so many people who watch this channel who are not builders and don't really have an interest. They're just fascinated by it. You'll notice that this is that thing you see through the sound hole, and the label goes right here. But that's what I was talking about earlier when I was joining this back plate, is that this is like your insurance policy to keep it from splitting. So it's nice to have. I've got a Brazilian rosewood guitar that I'm building right now where there's these micro fractures inside of it. So I'm going to do a back strap in the middle as well as 2 secondary straps just from where those fractures are, just to ensure that it's nice and strong. But it's just there for insurance. And yeah, I'm just gonna clamp her down. So this is all there's going to be to this episode. In the next episode that we're gonna do is we are actually gonna be making all the bracing and everything for this back and getting those on the back, and then probably voicing it. I think we might do that in one episode. But it's a lot simpler than the top of the guitar. But that right there gets us to where we need to on this back, and you can see how simple that was. Not really that difficult. The Go Bar deck is a necessity to get this right as far as clamping is concerned, unless you have like super deep-throated clamps. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the 3,000-Year-Old Guitar Build. Make sure you guys check out the t-shirts in the link below. They are available, and we do appreciate those that have purchased them. Thank you to everybody who's supported us on Patreon. That really helps us, especially when it comes to doing the guitar breakdown videos that we're going to be doing more of. I appreciate all the comments on the guitar breakdown videos. Yeah, we're going to roll out another Woodstock video this week. We're going to do another Matt Builds an Amp video soon. So yeah, we thank everybody so much for being a part of this. We just crossed the 17,000 subscriber mark, and we appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who's liked and subscribed, and we will see y'all in the next one.